Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
I'm alive. I went to the post office, to the post office box, to the, what do they call them? Super boxes. Got my mail. I'm going to show you what I got. I'm going to show you what I was thinking of while I was en route to the super box. So that'll be a treat. You're not going to want to miss it. Special delivery from Donald Trump. Tariffs. Also, he's got a package in a couple of nuclear subs that he can deliver to Russia. So he has sent those to strategic locations in response to the saber rattling that we've been seeing and hearing from the Russian side. I'm not exactly sure what prompted this, because this rhetoric is really not that new. It's been going on for quite a while. I talked about it last night, right? It's like nobody really has been paying attention. But Putin has threatened to nuke the West several times. He's talked multiple times about using tactical nukes in Ukraine. It's like nobody's taking it seriously. But now Trump has deployed nuclear subs, and it's barely making headlines in the West. How scared should we be? Well, you can weigh in on the conversation tonight a little bit if you'd like, because we'll probably have time to go to the phones. It's Open Line Friday. And of course, the thing that's really the number one top story in Canada, the tariffs. It's the Trump's chaos coming from his crazy tariff war with Canada. And it's being exploited for political purposes in Canada, the U.S. taking note of it. I don't know how much the American people are really paying attention to what is happening on the Canadian side of the border. Probably not much, even though we have some clips tonight to share with you from some of the major U.S. networks. Oh, yeah, and Ghislaine Maxwell transferred to a club-fed facility where doing hard time, well, no, just doing time. And it sounds like it's a pretty cushy lifestyle. We'll bring you some of the details on that tonight, too. So a lot of stuff going on. Plus, the beginning of the end. That's the title of tonight's Maverick MidKnight Matinee movie. So stay with me. We'll come back on the other side. We'll start digging into today's top news stories. We'll go to the phones, and we will transition into tonight's cinematic feature on Maverick MidKnight Matinee. But first, this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so first up, tariff war, trade war, Canada, USA. The stupidest trade war ever. But here we are. So what's the latest on these Canada-US trade talks? Well, as of tonight, President Donald Trump is causing chaos. Negotiations between Ottawa and Washington remain at a critical juncture with no clear resolution in sight. Prime Minister Mark Carney described the talks as being in an intense phase earlier this week, emphasizing that Canada will only sign a deal that serves the best interests of Canadians. However, President Trump has signaled skepticism about reaching an agreement, suggesting the U.S. might simply impose this 35% tariff on Canadian goods that don't comply with the United States Mexico-Canada Agreement, or CUSMA, C-U-S-M-A. These tariffs are set to take effect today. And it looks like they're going to significantly impact Canadian exports like steel, aluminum, and automobiles. I thought tonight I would do something a little bit different and just take a look at what some of the smaller mainstream media is doing with this story. So I took a look at CH Television out of Hamilton and came across this report. I thought I would just share this with you to give you just sort of, more of I think that station is maybe a little more neutral on this.
Canada is now dealing with 35% tariffs on goods not covered by CUSMA after U.S. President Donald Trump followed through on a threat to increase duties if Ottawa didn't make a trade deal. Many countries, like those in the European Union, Japan, and the UK, struck a deal with the U.S. ahead of Trump's August 1st deadline. But it's been a different story for Canada, one of the U.S.'s top trading partners. So what makes Canada different from the other countries the States has trade deals with? To start, Prime Minister Mark Carney was voted in with the belief that he is the best person to take on Trump and his trade war. But the Trump administration has been difficult to deal with. It seems as if the goalposts keep getting pushed farther to what suits Trump on any given day. Political strategist Charles Bird says Carney has not failed in his negotiations with Trump.
I don't think this could be called a failure for Carney. I think of Premier Ford's recent words for the Prime Minister, which were along the lines of "don't give in." There is no doubt that it's a difficult situation for any Canadian government to be in, and it's also the reason why Prime Minister Carney was elected earlier this year. He is perceived as the best person to deal with what is largely an existential threat on the part of President Trump and the Americans.
Bird added that Carney getting the best deal possible for Canada will take time. But it appears Canada is experiencing some success during the ongoing negotiations, as many of our exports to the United States are not affected by tariffs. This is largely thanks to the Canada-US-Mexico trade agreement.
And so at the end of the day, Canada is still paying a very, very low amount in terms of tariffs to the United States as a result of this agreement being upheld.
The focus now shifts to CUSMA, which is set to be renegotiated in 2026. Bird says this will be pivotal in terms of Canada's economic future and our trade relationship with the United States.
Yeah, it's, I think, important to keep in mind that as much as this is inflicting some pain, not just here, but on the U.S. side as well, because it's actually the purchasers of our products that end up paying those tariffs. Canadian companies may respond by lowering prices, and other measures may be taken to make sure our exportable goods remain price competitive, but it's a tax on Americans, and it's going to inflict pain. People don't understand largely how this works, and it's really just not good for either side, in my view, in the long run, or even the short run. It's very chaotic and disruptive, and Trump can spin the numbers any way he wants. And Laura Trump can go on Fox News and talk about it all she wants, but the economic realities are as they are. It doesn't sound to me, though, from what I've been hearing today, that this is really entirely about trade. In fact, I think it has very little to do with trade. It's more about politics.
Yeah, well, the Canadians have a responsibility here, too. You know, as much as Mexico had a responsibility to work with our country to secure the southern border, Canada, likewise, in the northern border, has the same responsibility. And as you've heard, they're not doing that job. I think we saw 74 pounds of fentanyl this fiscal year, which would kill almost 16 million people, that amount. That is, we can't have that in the United States. Overall, look, everything that this president is doing is strategic. The tariffs have brought in somewhere in the neighborhood of $150 billion for this country. You've seen trade agreements now with multiple countries. I think it will continue, but Canada's got to play ball, and they have to help us with that northern border. Yeah, well,
Oh, my God. He's created a problem that doesn't exist, for which there is no real solution, because the problem doesn't really exist on the scale that he is saying that it does. It's a lie. It's a manufactured lie. I've shown you that. I've shared it with you. There is a pseudo reporter, journalist out there who keeps spinning the lie. And a lot of people on the freedom side of the equation are buying into it, but it's a lie. The fentanyl problem in the United States is not really coming from Canada. Here is the letter, the response today from Prime Minister Mark Carney. He says, can you see it on the screen? Do I have it up for you? Yes, I do. Okay, so this is on his social media accounts tonight. President Trump has announced that the United States will increase its tariffs to 35% on those Canadian exports that are not covered under the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, or CUSMA. That means it's not everything. There's a lot of stuff covered in CUSMA, so the vast majority of stuff is still not affected by this. However, he goes on. While the Canadian government is disappointed by this action, we remain committed to CUSMA, which is the world's second largest free trade agreement by trading volume. The U.S. application of CUSMA means that the U.S. average tariff rate on Canadian goods remains one of the lowest for all its trading partners. Other sectors of our economy, including lumber, steel, aluminum, and automobiles, are, however, heavily impacted by U.S. duties and tariffs. For such sectors, the Canadian government will act to protect Canadian jobs, invest in our industrial competitiveness, buy Canadian, and diversify our export markets. The United States has justified its most recent trade action on the basis of the cross-border flow of fentanyl, despite the fact that Canada accounts for only 1% of U.S. fentanyl imports. It has been working intensively to further reduce those volumes. Canada's government is making historic investments in border security to arrest drug traffickers, take down transnational gangs, and end migrant smuggling. These include thousands of new law enforcement and border security officers, aerial surveillance, intelligence, and security operations, and the strongest border legislation in our history. We will continue working with the United States to stop the scourge of fentanyl and save lives in both our countries. While we continue to negotiate with the United States on our trading relationship, the Canadian government is laser focused on what we can control. Building Canada strong. The federal government, provinces, and territories are working together to cut down trade barriers to build one Canadian economy. We are developing a series of major nation-building projects with provincial, territorial, and Indigenous partners. Together, these initiatives have the potential to catalyze over $500 billion of new investments in Canada. Canadians will be our own best customer, creating more well-paying careers at home. As we strengthen and diversify our trading partnerships throughout the world, we can give ourselves more than any foreign government can ever take away by building with Canadian workers and by using Canadian resources to benefit all Canadians. And that's Mark Carney's response to what Trump has done to create chaos internationally. Indeed. Well, let's go now to the White House. Oh, do I have it? Yes, I do. Okay, here it is. President Trump gaggles with the press before departing from the White House. This just a short time ago. This is fresh. You've probably not had an opportunity to see this yet. Let's just grab this feed and let it roll, baby, roll. El Presidente Trump in today's media gaggle.
Are you gonna go into talk with Putin before your deadline coming? I mean, 10 days while in the... Well, we'll see what happens. We're gonna have some meetings and we'll see what happens.
Mr. President!
Mr. President, you said the job report today were rigged. Oh yeah, I think so. And if you look at before the election, the same kind of thing happened. And I think you'll see some very interesting information come out. But you have to have honest reports. And when you look at those numbers, or when you look at just before the election, and then after the election they corrected it by 800,000 or 900,000 jobs, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, the jobs numbers suck today. The economy's not doing very
We have
well.
a great relationship
Tell me
with the
talk,
States.
sir, and when do you have it?
Yeah, we have a great relationship with South Korea.
Are you ready? Are you open to negotiate with Brazil? The Brazilian President Lula said he would like to call you. He requests a conversation. Would you talk to him now? Are
He
you
can
open
talk to me
negotiate?
anytime he wants.
So are you open to tariffs? Are
Yeah, he can
negotiable?
talk to me anytime he wants.
What is on the table for Brazil?
Well, we'll see what happens, but I love the people of Brazil.
What evidence do you have that
Mr. President, why you trying to do two-
What
two
evidence?
I love the people of Brazil.
So why did you
Submarine
say tariffs? They don't
close
seem
to
to be
Russia.
related to trade,
Because
Mr.
the
President.
people running Brazil did the wrong thing.
What evidence?
7 years from the time that you learned that people were being stolen from Mar-a-Lago to the time that you picked that you took from Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, I don't understand your question.
Where are the submarines being deployed?
Say it?
Where are being deployed nuclear submarines?
Oh yeah, well we had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people.
Hillary Clinton finally be investigated for election fraud.
I hope so. I hope so. I don't know whether or not that'll happen, but I hope so.
Mr. President, why did you
fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics? Because I think her numbers were wrong. Just like I thought her numbers were wrong before the election. Days before the election, she came out with these beautiful numbers for Kamala. I guess Biden/Kamala. And she came out with these beautiful numbers trying to get somebody else elected. Then right after the election, I think on the 15th, November 15th, she had an $800,000 or $900,000 massive reduction. Said she made a mistake. No, that woman's numbers are... Say it.
Governor Kugler is set to resign.
Yeah, one of the governors, as you know, of the Federal Reserve has just announced she's resigning. I understand it was over the fact that she disagreed with somebody from her party. She disagreed with Too Late. You know who Too Late is? Yeah. She disagreed with Too Late on the interest rate. So we'll see what happens. But we just found out that I have a open spot on the Federal Reserve Board. I'm very happy about that, John.
Do you plan to appoint anyone? Is there anyone you plan to appoint?
And what did Medvedev say to you that made you really mad?
Well, you just have to read what he said. He was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared, and we're totally prepared.
Mr. President, on the monthly jobs report, going forward, why should anyone trust the numbers?
Well, that's the big thing. You're right. No, you're right. Why should anybody trust numbers? You go back to election day. Look what happened 2 or 3 days before with massive, wonderful job numbers, trying to get him elected or her elected, trying to get whoever the hell was running. Because you go back, and they came out with numbers that were very favorable to Kamala, okay? To trying to get him elected, trying to get her elected. And then on the 15th of November or thereabouts, they had an 800,000 or 900,000 overstatement reduction right after the election. It didn't work because you know who won, John? I won.
But here's the thing. Your supporters have had issues with these numbers.
I've had issues with the numbers for a long time. But today, we're doing so well. I believe the numbers were phony, just like they were before the election. And there were other times. So you know what I did? I fired her.
Right.
And so you know what? I did the right thing.
If any government official going forward is presenting data or information you don't like, should they fear for their job?
I've always had a problem with these numbers. You know, I was thinking about it this morning. Before the numbers that came out, I said, who is the person that does these numbers? And then they gave me stats about before the election. I had a similar problem. I mean, she gave out numbers that were so good for the Democrats. It was like unbelievable. And then right after the election, she corrected those numbers with, I think, almost 900,000 corrections. I think nobody had ever seen anything like it. Well, today she did the same thing with the 253,000, whatever the number was. No. We need people that we can trust. I mean, your question is a very good one. We need people we can trust.
What about Switzerland? What would you like to see from Switzerland?
You know who you plan to replace her with?
I've got about 3 very good. I have a lot of good candidates. I will say everybody wants it. I've had more phone calls, but I have 3 people that
they actually have a background in labor.
You know, I could do a long-term thing, or I could do a temporary. It's a 14-year term.
Right, but do you put someone in who actually has labor statistics experience?
I'd put somebody in who's going to be honest.
So are you thinking long-term?
That's all we want. I have a choice. I can have 4 months. I could do a short term, or I could do a 14-year deal. So we'll see. We have a lot of people. We've got a lot of good people around.
Can I ask you a construction question?
Switzerland. That was a shock. The tariff rate with Switzerland. It was higher than other European.
Well, the problem with Switzerland, we have a $40 billion deficit with Switzerland, and I spoke yesterday to Switzerland. But we have a $40 billion deficit with Switzerland. That's a big deficit.
Question on the construction. Can I ask you a question on the construction? You say you're raising $200 million. You're donating a bunch. Others are as well. Are you blocking foreigners from donating money to build that addition?
Honestly, I never even thought of it, but it doesn't matter. I'm putting up my money, but it doesn't even matter. They've wanted a ballroom at the White House, and it's been very popular. You know, when we put it out
You're
yesterday.
You're not ruling out that a crown prince or some European
No, I'm not looking. I'm not looking for that. You know, you have very strong restrictions as to who can donate, and we go by the restrictions.
Are you going to publicize the names?
It's not a lot of. I mean, it's not that much money.
Will you release the names of the donors?
Yeah, I'll do that. I didn't even start yet, by the way. But when I do, I'll release them.
How many donors do you think it's going to take to get to $200 million?
Maybe one, me. But
you would cut that check yourself.
I would, yeah.
Did you talk to Steve Witkoff today from his journey to Gaza? Did you talk to Steve Witkoff?
I did. I spoke to Steve Witkoff. He had a great meeting with a lot of people, and the primary meeting was on food. And he also had some other conversations that I'll tell you about later. But he had a meeting on getting the people fed, and that's what we want. And I'll see you later on.
In terms of the penalties on India, what numbers are you looking at, and are you going to be having a conversation with...
Well, I understand India no longer is going to be buying oil from Russia. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's a good step. We'll see what happens, okay?
On tariffs, obviously the Treasury is taking in so much money right now. Some Republicans have been pushing for tariff checks to go out. They said, move the money back.
There are a lot of people that would like to see us do sort of a dividend to the people of our country. It's something I consider.
How much would be?
I also want to pay off debt, but there's a possibility I do a dividend.
On tariffs, obviously, there's still a few days here for coming on tariffs, possibly the reset. If you're a betting man, how many of these tariff rates do you think you make now and that's not a lot?
I mean, for the most part, we're a little bit, maybe. If somebody could convince us that, they have a case, like Switzerland was complaining, but doing $40 billion a year with Switzerland. We had to do that.
See what the Canadians
There you go. So, 2 nuclear subs deployed someplace. The exact location remains a secret. Like I said yesterday, it's most people not even paying much mind to this, and yet it seems we creep ever so closer every single day to nuclear war. Well, I hope it doesn't get out of hand. Is it out of hand now? It seems like it. Wasn't Trump supposed to make everything more peaceful and calm everything down? It seems like it's spiraling out of control to me. But try and remain optimistic, I guess. Where are we at with these tariffs? Well, we know that we have, what's Trump doing here? So 25% on imports, including 10% on energy products. So this was months before taking office in January. He announced that he would lay sweeping tariffs on U.S. imports from Canada. Is that right? No. Hang on. I'm just reading this here. I'm just checking some other sites to see if I can find the latest on where the tariffs are. So we're seeing 25% on automobiles and parts. I'm not sure if this is accurate, so let me just, doesn't make sense to me, these numbers. Let me check over here. So I know the biggest industries on the Canadian side to be hit by this will be steel and automotive. So there's this general 35% tariff applying to all Canadian imports that do not comply with the USMCA. That rate increased from 25%. So this is effective today. And I don't think Trump was looking for a deal anyway. I don't think they've been bargaining in good faith, because it's, as I say, it's all political. That's why he's using this whole fentanyl concoction. It's not a real issue. And so USMCA compliant goods remain exempt from the tariff, and that means that roughly 90% of Canada's exports to the U.S. face an effective tariff rate of around 5% due to the exemptions. And that is information coming from the Bank of Canada. Energy and potash imports, 10% tariff is applied to non-USMCA compliant energy resources and potash imports from Canada. And that takes effect, that was effective since April 2nd. The rate remains unchanged. As of today, steel and aluminum imports, a 50% tariff is imposed on all steel and aluminum imports from Canada. And that was effective June 4th. And that applies globally, but significantly impacts Canada, which is one of the top suppliers of aluminum and steel to the United States. Now, automobiles and auto parts, there is a lot of stuff from the Canadian side that is exempt because of CUSMA, and but a 25% tariff is levied on all cars and trucks not built in the U.S., as well as imported auto parts, effective April 2nd. So that took effect in April, and that targets non-USMCA compliant Canadian vehicles and parts. Copper imports, we talked about that last night, a 50% tariff on semi-finished copper products. Transshipped goods rerouted through Canada to evade the 35% tariff face a 40% transshipment tariff. So in other words, if you have product Then you send it to Canada to try to get around a tariff, to then have it imported into or exported to the United States. But it's not really a Canadian product, but you're kind of putting a from Canada or made in Canada label on it. It's going to be hit with another tariff. So these tariffs, of course, come from Trump's trade policies. And he's using these International Emergency Economic Powers Act clauses to address these concerns over trade deficits and fentanyl trafficking, which is not really the major issue at all. It's just a pretext to give whatever it is he actually wants, which is not really clear, except that I think that it is. He's trying to put pressure on the government of Canada because he wants the country, essentially. Yeah, you need to be taking that pretty seriously. Goods meeting USMCA rules of origin that's grown, harvested, or manufactured with specific North American content are tariff-free, protecting most Canadian exports. Non-compliant goods face the above tariffs, with many businesses opting to pay the most favored nation rate, which rose from 2.5% to 25 to 35% for certain goods. The tariffs apply to $256 billion of Canadian imports. And we have ongoing negotiations. Although I'm seeing headlines tonight suggesting the Canadian negotiating team might walk away from the table. Wouldn't surprise me if it comes to that. Doug Ford urging Mark Carney, Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, urging Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, to get tough with Donald Trump and his U.S. negotiation team. Just want to show you this. Here it is. U.S. products subject to Canadian import tariffs. So this is about the ostriches, because it's not about the ostriches. What do I mean by that? It's about live poultry. It's about supply management, farming, agribusiness. That's one of the big things here. And these are things that Canada has said are basically off limits. They're not negotiating in public, of course, so you're not getting a lot of the details on this. If, in fact, very little information on where Canada really is at on this stuff. But this is about the dairy industry, poultry, industries like that. And there are many other issues as well, but I'm just highlighting this because this is the CTV page tonight, news page. And as you see down here at the bottom, it says U.S. products subject to Canadian import tariffs. And this goes back to March 4th. This is when it was last updated here. But look, it's like right up here, right front and center. Live poultry, live poultry, live poultry. Meat and edible offal of the poultry of heading. Meat and edible offal of the poultry of heading is poultry. It's first on the list. This is what I'm getting at. This whole thing with these stupid ostriches. It's about supply management, farms, Canadian tariffs, which remain in place for the poultry industry, for agribusiness, for the dairy industry of like 258%, I think, for poultry on the Canadian side. So U.S. producers of chickens, it's not really cost effective for them to sell into Canada because we have tariffs of like 258% on U.S. poultry, chicken. So we don't buy it. People don't like it here anyway, but it's because it's so expensive to bring it in. It's just the tariffs, the Canadian side. And that is to protect small Canadian farming operations. And you're seeing this change in the way that they deal with the bird flu. This is, I'm just trying to show you that when it comes to politics and economics, sometimes it's not, quite often, it's not what you're seeing on the surface. These issues are not really about the things that they're fighting about, like the ostriches. It's got nothing to do really with ostriches. More so, it has to do with the chickens, poultry, the government response to bird flu, managing the disease, whether they vaccinate or don't vaccinate. That's really, I think, what is the bigger issue. And whether the US will have access to the Canadian market, trying to bring, I mean, you're all worried about globalism, right? And foreign control over our industries, foreign control over our institutions, our government institutions, foreign control over our healthcare, foreign control over our food supply, foreign control over whether you get the jab or you don't get the jab, or whether they jab a chicken or they don't jab a chicken. That's exactly what is going on out there in BC. It's a foreign government, the United States government, trying to exert its political influence to get a different outcome, to get a change in our policies to bring Canada into alignment with what they're doing, going to be doing, or are doing already on the US side. And that's what these trade negotiations are partly about, largely about. Integrating the economies, which are already heavily integrated, but giving the United States even more influence and control over the Canadian economy and even Canadian sovereignty. And yet the people who are worried about foreign influence are all out there, a lot of them, cheering this on, getting the opposite outcome they hope of what they say they actually want. Their minds are flipped upside down. Nothing is as it seems to be in the world of politics. Let me take a little break. Going to queue a couple of things up. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
So this whole thing with Trump, do you know the old, I'm trying to think of like a specific movies or comedy sketches about shooting the messenger, right? You know, you don't want to be the messenger king, bad news, because if you do, you might get shot. I say it here quite often, don't I? Don't shoot the messenger. Well, that's what Donald Trump did today. He talked about it in the media gaggle there, but he did it because of these job numbers. The employment stats not looking good on the US side, and Trump is pretty PO'd about it. Let me bring this up. Okay, listen to this.
It was weaker than expected. But the real news is there were all these massive downward revisions for both May and June. May, originally, the government said the economy added 144,000. Now, 19,000. That is a major revision. This is the biggest revisions we've seen since COVID. June was originally at 147. Now it's just at 14,000. You can see it on that bar chart there. June was the worst since December of 2020. I just talked to Joe Brusuelas. He's the chief economist over at RSM, and he said, this report that we just got, when you look at the July numbers and the revisions, he says this is the worst major economic report we've gotten since the end of the pandemic era. That was weaker than expected. But the real news is there were all these massive downward revisions for both May and June. May, originally, the government said the economy added 144,000. Now, 19,000. That is a major revision. This is the biggest revisions we've seen since COVID. June was originally at 147. Now it's just at 14,000. You can see it on that bar chart there. June was the worst since December of 2020. I just talked to Joe Brusuelas. He's the chief economist over at RSM, and he said, this report that we just got, when you look at the July numbers and the revisions, he says this is the worst major economic report we've gotten since the end of the pandemic era.
Okay, so we let that run a couple of times, but that's because I was queuing this up. I apologize for the duplication. Here's the headline over on NBC. Look what Trump does. He fires the labor statistics boss hours after the release of the week jobs report. Oh man, who wants to work in anywhere in any job even close to Trump? No thanks. He didn't like the numbers, so he shot the messenger. President Trump on today ordered the firing of the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It says right here, hours after a stunning government report showed that hiring had slowed down significantly over the past 3 months. Taking to Truth Social, he attacked Erica McIntyre. I don't know who that is, but anyway, the commissioner of the BLS. He claimed that the country's jobs reports are being produced by Biden appointee and ordered his administration to terminate her. Oh, this is terrible. He says we need accurate jobs numbers, Trump wrote. She will be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified. Important numbers like this must be fair and accurate. They can't be manipulated for political purposes. I think that probably the numbers are the numbers. He intensified his attack in a later post, writing, in my opinion, today's job numbers were rigged in order to make the Republicans and me look bad. An administration official told NBC News that McIntyre, I'll say it that way, had indeed been fired. There she is. Erica L. McIntyre, McIntarfer. The deputy director of BLS, Bill Wyatrowski, who took up the role during the Obama administration, will become the acting director during the search for a replacement. Yeah, who wants that job? No thanks. I'm going to get it in the neck. Off with their heads. It just, he didn't like the jobs numbers, those employment stats. I don't like them. You're fired. Just write better numbers and just make it look like it's better than it is. Just lie. That's what he wants. That's rigging things. I like every government does manipulate economic statistics depending on how the data is compiled, but they do it in the way that the data is compiled. They don't just come out at the end and just make up like random numbers or this is ridiculous. It's like a Monty Python sketch come to life. I swear to God. It's just don't like the numbers, just make up new ones. That's what he does every day. The whole fentanyl thing in Canada, it's just a concoction. It's just a made up thing. Not to say that we don't have fentanyl in Canada. There is some, but the fentanyl in Canada is coming from the United States. It's the other way around. It's flowing from the United States into Canada, not so much the other way. Some, yes. But then Canada's bad dudes, the bad guys, the drug dealers, they're exporting it to other countries, not to the United States. It doesn't, believe whatever you want. I can only sit here and bring you the information, and who the hell knows what's real anymore, because Trump can just make the stuff up. Now, that's the thing. When you are in charge, when you are in power, running the government, and you can control the information, you see, that's really what it is. It's just on full display. He's saying, hey, we get to make up reality around here. We're the government. People will believe us. We can say whatever we want. And we have the credibility on our side now because we are the elected officials. We're the ones who put out the official words. So whatever we want it to be is what it can be. He didn't like the numbers. He fired the woman because she's telling the truth. And he doesn't want the truth. He wants whatever numbers he wants. He just wants better numbers. And then he wants to tell us all that's the truth. He's a great big fat liar. And if you don't lie for him, you're fired. Yeah, she was taking a political position by telling the truth. She didn't lie, so she got fired. Even the numbers about like subsidizing Canada and the blah, blah, blah. It's all crap. This whole thing, everything about everything right now, it's all a web of lies. It's terrible. It's just awful. Hang on, I'm going to come back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
And then back to this story about the nuclear subs being deployed. Let's just take a look over on RT and just see what the reaction is over there on the Russian side. Here it is right here. Trump deploys nuclear subs in response to Medvedev tweet. The American president has condemned what he called foolish and inflammatory statements by former Russian leader. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Friday that he has ordered 2 nuclear submarines to move close to Russia, citing social media comments by former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. And Medvedev, when Kevin McAleety's been on here in the past, he has said that Medvedev kind of has a bit of a mouth, just saying things he ought not be saying sometimes. But that's sort of, I think, his job, as it were, because he isn't the current president, so he can speak more loosely. But Trump announced the decision on his Truth Social platform, condemning Medvedev's highly provocative statements and claiming that the words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that, the U.S. president wrote. Trump has lately been locked in a bitter war of words on social media with Medvedev, who currently serves as deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council. Well, the U.S. president did not elaborate his announcement of a military response, apparently relates to a post made by the Russian politician on Thursday. Medvedev was responding to a post by Trump on Truth Social hours earlier, in which the American president branded him a failed former leader and warned him to watch his words. The former Russian head of state mocked the nervous reaction displayed by Trump, suggesting it only proved that Russia is doing everything right and will continue to proceed along its own path. And about India's and Russia's dead economies and entering a very dangerous territory, he says, well, let him remember his favorite movies about the walking dead, as well as how dangerous the fabled dead hand can be. Medvedev wrote, ooh. The latter remark referred to the legendary perimeter system dating back to the Soviet era and presumed to still exist in Russia. The autonomous system is believed to be an apocalyptic dead man's switch capable of firing the surviving nuclear arsenal at once in a scenario where the country was hit by a devastating first strike that eliminates its leadership and breaks the chain of command responsible for ordering retaliation. Not good. Lots of comments down here. Some people not taking it seriously. This guy saying Trump deploys nuclear subs. That sounds like Trumpian hot air and bluster. Other comments. Trump has no common sense, a malignant personality, and nuclear weapons. What could go wrong? Bathysphere says he's 80 years old. I'll bet that he is getting his own dose of senility. By the end of his term, he'll probably be as incoherent as Joe Biden was. The Tal Shiar says we won't survive to see the end of his term. I hope that's not true. And John Hunsaker says, I am an American citizen and over 80 years, and I have no problem realizing that Trump is saying extremely stupid words. Why? Even if Trump orders his subs to threaten Russia, it is totally off the charts with stupidity and silliness, as Trump is signaling World War III, and for what? Get all of us killed for his GD ego. It is the United States who started this whole death spiral crap over Ukraine and the West's attack on Russia. The president Trump I have supported from day one has totally lost sense. So there, Trump has lost another supporter, losing his mind and losing his base. A lot of it because of this Ghislaine Maxwell stuff. And Epstein. And tonight we're seeing that Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted associate of Jeffrey Epstein, has been quietly transferred from a federal prison in Florida to a minimum security facility in Texas. This has sparked controversy and questions about her case. The Federal Bureau of Prisons confirmed today, and not many people talking about this, but you're hearing it here. I'm aware of it. There are a few others kind of touching on this now, but I am surprised it's not getting more play. FBI confirming that Maxwell is now at Federal Prison Camp Bryan, located near Austin, Texas. This move comes just a week after Maxwell met with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche in Tallahassee, Florida, to discuss the Epstein investigation. Her attorney confirmed the transfer, but has declined to comment. So far, no comment to us or anybody else on the reasons behind it. Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking and related crimes, had been at FCI Tallahassee, which is a low-security prison, since July of 2022. FPC Bryan, described as a minimum security camp, houses about 635 female inmates, including high-profile figures like Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes. Unlike low-security facilities with double-fenced perimeters, Bryan has dormitory housing, limited fencing, and offers inmates access to classes, sports, and video calls with family. So this transfer is, to say the least, unusual, because sex offenders like Maxwell are typically barred from minimum security prisons due to public safety concerns. A top Bureau of Prisons official would have needed to approve the move, possibly based on Maxwell's behavior or cooperation with authorities. Some speculate it may be linked to her recent DOJ meetings or her push for a pardon from President Trump, though the White House has denied any leniency discussions. Well, not everyone is convinced. Some people are pretty sure that a deal has been made, and one of the most high-profile people speaking about this, Rick Wilson, the Lincoln Project. He is steamed. Ooh. Let's let a little of this from Rick Wilson roll.
Hey, folks. What we know right now is that Ghislaine Maxwell has now been moved to a minimum security, cushy, club-fed work camp prison in Texas. This has trees. This has tennis courts. This has a putting green. This is not a place where you put the woman who ran the largest child predator sex rape ring in recent memory. This is not where you put someone who is being treated by the Justice Department as the woman who is a registered sex offender, unless there's a quid pro quo. And believe me, if you don't think the fix is in at this point, that Maxwell is now in a cushy, very, very nice prison, probably, from what I could quickly research, one of the most comfortable places you can go if you're a female federal prisoner in this country. It's basically barely even a prison. Why did she get sent there? Anybody want to guess? Anybody? Anybody think the Bureau of Prisons didn't get a fucking phone call from Pam Bondi? Hey, you got to move her. Todd Blanchard's made a deal. Got to take care of her. If you are not outraged by this, MAGA folks, I don't ever want to hear a fucking word out of your mouths again about the global pedophile conspiracy, cannibal, sex ring bullshit. Not a word. Not a fucking word. She's the architect of an organization headed by Jeffrey Epstein. But she was his consigliere, his recruiter, his trainer, his groomer, to use a term that y'all love to use, of these young girls so they could be raped by Jeffrey Epstein and his friends. And Donald Trump now has transferred her to the most luxurious federal prison for women there is. I wouldn't be surprised if there was fucking turn down service at this place. Look, FCI Tallahassee, where Maxwell was until yesterday, it's not exactly like the hardest prison in America. It's not a supermax or anything like that. But now they have put her somewhere very, very cushy, very, very comfortable. So there's only two ways this goes. One, she's already made the deal, and this is part of the flow as they move towards commuting her sentence or pardoning her. Or two, they're trying to induce her now, like, oh, look, you can get better treatment. You can get the pardon faster. You can be somewhere where it's more comfortable. You can be somewhere where there's nicer amenities at the prison. Listen, this woman trafficked 200 plus young women. If you think she deserves to be in the cushiest federal prison for women and you're a MAGA voter, again, I don't want to ever hear a fucking word out of your mouth again about anything to do with child trafficking or all the other things that you believe that the Democrats are involved in a pizza restaurant in D.C. Not a word. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear a fucking word about it. I just don't. Okay? I just don't. Maxwell is a monster. She has twice been found guilty of perjury, and anything that comes out of her mouth now as a result of this crooked deal with the Trump administration, with Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi and Donald Trump and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, all of whom are in the loop on this, I promise you. And whoever runs the Bureau of Prisons, whatever weird Trump acolyte, sycophant, ass licker runs the Bureau of Prisons, they had to make a special exemption because she is a registered sex offender to move her. Now, look, if you're a reporter in Washington, I know you're like, oh, well, the Trump administration will never tell us anything. Well, maybe you should try to find out. Maybe you should go try to find some lawyers there and some people there in the staff at BOP. Maybe you should be talking to people. Because this is a big, big part of the cover-up story. There is a massive cover-up happening right now in front of your face. They're hitting you in the face over and over and over again with this cover-up. This deserves enterprise reporting from major news outlets. Ghislaine Maxwell being moved to the cushiest federal prison that there is not a coincidence. It wasn't a routine transfer. Something happened here to cause this to occur. That something started when Todd Blanche, who is close friends with Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, met with her in Tallahassee last week. Seems like a freaking year ago, but okay. Met with her last week in Tallahassee. They sat down and either they cut the deal or they got to the outlines of a deal. Because this is clearly either an inducement or a reward for Maxwell's cooperation with them. And again, let's be extraordinarily clear. Not one iota of this is about justice for the victims of Epstein and Maxwell. This is about covering Donald Trump's ass politically. This is about protecting Donald Trump from consequence and accountability for his relationship, his friendship, his dealings with Jeffrey Epstein, his close friend. The man who he only broke up with over a real estate deal. He did not break up with Jeffrey Epstein over the fact that he, quote unquote, stole Virginia Giuffre from him. He broke up with Epstein because he fucked him on a real estate deal. This is not about the victims. Nothing she could say will help heal those women and those girls that were raped by Jeffrey Epstein and by Ghislaine Maxwell herself and by the powerful men that now the DOJ is protecting. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't think that the extraordinary effort they're going through in the Department of Justice right now does not implicate Donald Trump in this matter, you are living in a dream world. So Ghislaine Maxwell was moved, again, to the cushiest federal prison for women that there is. This is not a woman who had a speeding ticket. This is not a woman who had an insider trading conviction. This is not a woman who was convicted of stock fraud. This is not a woman who did contracting fraud against the federal government. This is the woman who engineered the recruitment, the training, the trafficking, the abuse of young women for Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile rape ring. This is the woman who has perjured herself twice and been convicted of it twice. This is a woman who is a registered sexual offender. This is a woman who has, at the orders of Donald John Trump, the 47th president of the United States, been moved to a cushy federal correctional facility. If you're not thinking about this as a citizen, as a reporter, as a human being, as a father or a mother, or a grandfather or a grandmother, as an absolute outrage and an insult to not only the justice system in this country, but most particularly to the victims of Epstein and Maxwell and their friends, I pray you will reconsider your predicates and rethink your life. Because this should outrage you. This should piss you off. This should piss you off like very little else could piss you off. These people are protecting Trump. Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Susie Wiles. They are engineering this cover-up every minute of this day. They're trying to throw all the garbage out there. They're trying to throw all the bullshit other investigations out there. It's all to distract you from the fact that Donald Trump has made a deal, once again, with the woman who was at the center of Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile rape ring. I don't want to hear it, MAGA. All of you, I don't want to hear a fucking word ever again. You know, their favorite thing is to accuse people who are not pedophiles of being pedophiles. People who are not groomers of being groomers. These people who still support Trump right now, and he's going to pardon her or commute her sentence, one of the two. Same story. So that she will lie for him. So that she will say, oh, Donald Trump was never there. I never saw Donald Trump. No, what? He barely knew Jeffrey. If you don't think this is coming, pull your head out of the rectal cavity in which you have presently inserted it. If you don't think this is going to happen, wake up. The accusation in the minds of a million QAnon dipshits, in the minds of MAGA activists, and this big lie created by people like Mike Cernovich and Jack Posobiec and all these fucking idiots, that the Democrats are all raping little girls in a pizza restaurant, was always a lie. But you know what wasn't a lie? Ghislaine Maxwell was recruiting and training and gaslighting and abusing and trafficking young women and girls, minors, so that Jeffrey Epstein and his rich friends could rape them. And now Donald Trump is going to free her. He's already done her a big favor. He's already sent her now to a cushy women's prison. It's more like a day camp than a prison. If you're not angry, you're not paying attention. If you don't think this is an outrage, your moral sense is so screwed up by your worship of Donald Trump and your narrow gauge partisan blinders that you shouldn't consider yourself a decent person. You shouldn't consider yourself a good person. Good people would want this kind of person, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is a perjurer, a sex offender, and a human trafficker, to stay behind bars for her complete sentence. You're the same people that think that a gardener who is here illegally needs to be sent to CCOT. You're the same folks who think that somebody who protests against Donald Trump, that the cops should beat the shit out of them. And yet you want Ghislaine Maxwell, a predator, a child molester, a human trafficker, to get a cushy sentence or to get pardoned. He's going to pardon her, folks. If he doesn't pardon her, I'll be shocked. This is a sign the deal is moving, the fix is in. This is a hideous moment. And Donald Trump, I assure you, is both aware and enabling what is happening right now. Anyone who thinks that he hasn't been on the phone with Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi and the Bureau of Prisons and whoever else is involved in this cover-up is insane. This is an ugly moment for America. And Donald Trump, as much as he loves to transgress, as much as he loves to be a human middle finger, and as much as a lot of you MAGA voters really like that part of him, I hope you're comfortable now, because that middle finger that's in your face from Donald Trump right now is in the form of a woman who is a sexual predator, who ran a sex trafficking pedophile ring, and who participated in the rape of minors with Jeffrey Epstein. Congratulations, MAGA. Great day for you.
And now this.
And also Donald Trump Trump. Coincidence? Just dumb luck. Right? Another sealed file. That crocodile smile. We did our best, says the DOJ, while the truth just fades away. Another news spin. No one will win except the rich guys with gold ID cards and closets full of secrets behind steel bars. Just a little glitch. A billionaire's privilege. That's the sound of the case. Closed.
So I went to the mailbox today. Now, I was warned by a couple of people that they sent me things in the mail. Well, the way things have been going lately, I thought it might go down something like this. This is what came to mind when I received these messages from people saying, I sent you something in the mail. And I was like, I even responded. I said, okay, I'll get my hazmat and bomb disposal suits out and head off to the super box to pick up my
About
package.
7 o'clock last night, police say workers there saw a man dropping off a package with the latex gloves on. After that, he threw the gloves out and took off. Police called out the bomb squad, but it didn't find any explosives. Officers are still looking for the man who dropped off that package.
So that's what I was thinking of as I was on my way to the super box. We have a community box. They don't have door-to-door delivery in our neighborhood here anymore. I don't even know if they do anyway. I think in rural areas maybe, but that's what I was like, holy crap, man. These I better be really careful. If I find white powder in my mailbox, or if I turn the key and the whole neighborhood goes up in a cloud of smoke, you'll know why. But anyway, I went there, and Johnny from Toronto, he sent me a package. Thank you, John. And I appreciate your donation, John. And as always, thank you very much for that. And then this kills me. And then I always know when Isabel sends me something because it comes in a bright package. And I carefully opened it. And then this is beautiful. So she sent me this. And yet, what's it say there? It says, and yet, despite the look on my face, you are still talking. Oh, that's hilarious. Thank you, Isabel, for that. That's funny. Yeah. Haters to channel 2, please. All haters over to channel 2. Yeah, that's politics. Hilarious stuff. Thank you for sending those things. Thank you for the t-shirt. I hope it's my size so I can wear that. People are going to think it's me talking to them when it's actually Isabel talking to me. Yeah, it is. It's my size. Yeah, extra fat. Sort of skinny, but fat in all the wrong places. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that. Man, that's funny. That's just too funny. All right. I said we would go to the phones, so I guess we can do that. I will open up the phone lines, and you guys can weigh in on today's top news stories of the day. I don't want to spend too much time on the phones tonight, I don't think, because I do want to get to this cult classic, Beginning of the End, which I think is going to be fun for everyone to watch this evening. But if you want to call in, now's the time. I may hang up on you. It depends on who calls. and what you're going to say, because my tolerance level is diminished these days quite a bit. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. Okay. So phone lines are open. I'll put the number up on the screen. Also, I just wanted to mention something else. I've had a bunch of people corresponding with me over the past few days, trying to get me to run stories, do this, run this, connect to this, run this feed, do these things. I get people doing it all day, all the time. And I was a little short with somebody today because hang on, we've got our first caller up, but just hang with me for a moment while I finish this little soliloquy. I learned a lesson a long time ago as a cub reporter. I was a very young reporter. And there was a Sunday morning news magazine program that we ran on our TV station at the time. I say ours, didn't belong to me. I worked there. I wanted to do a story. It doesn't matter what the story was. It was an entertainment bit, and it was a Sunday morning program. And I took it to the guy who was in charge of the program. It was a show. And it was very, well watched for a Sunday morning program, but it was all feature stuff, right? And longer form, mini documentary, 5-minute pieces. And I said I wanted to do this story. It was about movies and entertainment. And he didn't want it. He didn't want the story. Well, I went back to him over the course of a month, like 3 times, trying to convince him to let me do this story. And he just kept saying no. And finally, the last time, he got a little steamed with me. And rightly so. It was his program. He was responsible for it. He was responsible for the editorial content. And he ultimately said, no, I just don't want to do it. And in hindsight, I should have left it alone after the first time. But no, I was young and brash, and I was like, I want to do this story. No, he said no. He didn't want it. It wasn't fitting in with whatever he had going on. And I just kept pushing. Well, I've had somebody call me multiple times. And, as much as I appreciate people bringing story ideas to me, I have to make decisions. It doesn't matter what the story was that they wanted me to do. I'm not going to get into that tonight. But it wasn't something that I wanted to do for a whole bunch of reasons. Not the least of which is that it's a story I wasn't really familiar with. I do not have the time right now to start digging into, the background on a bunch of stories or any story really that requires some research. I just don't have the time this week. And I don't want to wade into something that I really know little or nothing about. And I don't have the time to learn about it. And there's an old rule, if in doubt, leave it out. So I'm leaving it out. But no, this person had to keep calling me back. Why didn't you do this? Why won't you run it? Why did you run what you ran last night instead of running what I want you to run? Well, ultimately, everybody seems to want access to you guys, right? Because that's really what it is about. It's got nothing to do with me. They don't care what I think. They want access to you because they want you to think a particular way. They want to sway your opinion. Well, I work for you. I am responsible for you. I serve you. I serve the public. I serve the best interests of the public in the best way that I can. And that is really the bottom line. And then, I'm hearing, I don't want to hear about Trump and Epstein anymore. Hey, man, don't take it up with me. Take it up with the world, because that's the news. I don't make the news up. Those are the top stories. Those are the things we cover. That's what we do here. Yeah, I have to make editorial decisions, and it's sometimes I do a lot of stories I'd rather not talk about. Sometimes I talk about things I am happy to be talking about. I just am saying all of this because I just need people to understand that when you send me material, you're one of many people who think that your story is the most important, and that I should be running it because it's so important, and it is to you. But I have a whole bunch of other people as well who send me material every day. They send me videos. They send me articles. I have to consume all of this, sift through it all, and decide what to run, what not to run. I'm the assignment editor. I'm one guy, and you guys. And we work together, but ultimately I'm responsible. I have to make these decisions and decide. I have to curate whatever is going to run. And I'm just saying, I appreciate the input. I just hope that you can understand and respect that decisions have to be made. And at a certain point, if you don't like what the decision is, and you've come back and you've appealed it, and then you've appealed it again, at a certain point, I'm just going to say what I said today because I said so. And it just comes down to that. So it doesn't bloody well matter after this point. You can call me 5 times, and after the third time, then the answer is like definitely going to be no, regardless of the circumstances, because it just gets to a point where it's like, no, leave me alone. I don't want you to leave me alone. Don't take it that way. It's just, I have to make decisions. I'm sorry if it doesn't sit well with you. And I'm sorry if you don't want to hear about Trump and Epstein, but if that is what needs to be discussed, then that's what we discuss. And I don't always like where things go either. It's just the way that it is. That's the world of news. And there's more news going on every day than I can actually cover. A lot of stories sometimes I have queued up that I'm about to talk about, and then we just run out of time. That's why you'll find sometimes I tee things up in the headlines, and then we don't even get to the story in the course of like a 2-hour or 3-hour program because of me going on rants like this, I guess. Let's go to our first caller of the evening. Let me bring this up on the screen. And almost there. Here we go. All right. Who's on the line with us?
Well, you good old dragon, as always.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Well, excited and always good. Well, it's a turning point in our history, as you can say, right? World War III probably almost at our doors. Wow.
No, not almost. We have been involved in World War III. It's just a different kind of war, a kind of war we've never seen before. But yeah, it is escalating. And yeah, you're quite right. It's reaching a new point, a pivot point, I think, at this juncture, because these nuclear subs being deployed, very alarming. Man, I think we should be concerned, but in any event, it is also a turning point today, Dragon, because I received your first Substack link. Tell the people about your Substack. I put the link also in the chat over on Rumble Channel 1. And
so let me explain.
Go ahead.
I've been watching what was going on for the past 5 years, say since COVID, and I've been observing people behaviors online as outside of the digital bubble, if I can put it this way. And well, from all that, I've seen how things have changed so much in the behavior and the way of people thinks. So I came to the idea that it's probably because we're transitioning into a moment in our history and in our culture. And not only in our culture, but it's touching politics, it's touching everything that you touch. around you, mentally or emotionally. So I was exploring all that. And well, you remember the last movie that we had a moment together was the H.G. Wells movie. Please remind me the name or the title of the movie again.
Things to
Things
Come.
to Comes.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you do remember, you see basically how that population went to a 1940 population to a technocrat population. But if you look at the word technocracy, what does it mean? It means that we are integrated physically to technology, like basically what is Neuralink today. But we are not there yet because it's still just, well, it's just a form of experiment. So we're not yet with that, but our phones and device are an extension of our mind. And this is where I came to that conclusion. So if you want to see what all of that draw about, well, take my guess and go read what I have for you, because I think it's going to make you think.
Sure. Yeah, I read the article. I thought it was thought-provoking, and the link is in the Rumble Channel 1. So you people can click on that and go subscribe to Dragon's new Substack. So he's going to be writing more, I guess. And
yeah, well, it's a start of an experimentation and exploration into that philosophy. So yeah, I will do more. And the next one, I think I'm going to explore more how it is basically changing our politics, which we are at a bureaucrat sort of, well, we were at a bureaucrat sort of system of politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we are turning into that technological thing, because basically what is happening is that you got social media that is making your decision for you. So this is how they are governing your thought, and the way that they are governing you. Well, this is what infocracy is. And this is the turning point in our history that I'm exploring. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's a vast subject.
Did you like the T-shirt that Isabel sent? Did you see that?
I love it.
Yeah, just she's definitely sending me a message. It's like, and yet, despite the look on my face, you're still talking? That's hilarious. So I assume she's selling those over on her her Facebook store thingy. Bubble Gifts, I think you can find her on Facebook. So if you want one of those, like say you have a, I don't know, say you have a husband like me. Well, then a T-shirt like that might come in handy.
It can be useful in my case, actually.
You know what? That's what I'm going to do, Drake. I'm going to give that shirt to my wife, and then she doesn't have to say anything. She can just stand in front of me and just look at me. Well, she does that anyway. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's just too funny. That's hilarious. Thank you, Isabel, for that. You made me laugh today. And in the end, the hazmat suit and the bomb disposal gear, protective equipment, not necessary. I was relieved. I turned the key to the super box, carefully opened it, and nothing exploded. No white powder either. So it was a good day. It's hilarious. Oh my. So what else are you're not even talking about the tariffs tonight? Are you worried, Dragon, at all? No?
Well, am I worried? I was already worried because I knew that economically it was just giving us headaches, but now it's going to be a double dose of ad deals, I think. So I don't know where we're going with that, but I think it's a crisis.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that worried about it because so much is already exempted through CUSMA. I'm a little concerned about the auto industry, but also, at the same time, I was looking at Automotive News Canada today. Let me see if I can find this for you. I believe I have I should have it here. Some headlines from Automotive News Canada. Yeah, here we go. I'll just open it up right over here, and I will show you what they were saying today. And it's kind of, I would say, sort of positive in a negative sort of way. But those are the headlines. I copied and pasted them. USMCA compliant vehicles and parts skirt Trump's new 35% tariff. So that was their headline. That's the way they're spinning the story. And what's that one say? Magna, which is an auto parts company, big one here in Canada, started by Frank Stronach, who we had on as a guest a while back, actually. Magna shrugs off tariffs, generates 21% gain in the second quarter net income, raises outlook. So those are the headlines today on ANC. And all that despite Trump's chaos. So hang in there, Canuckistanians. Oh, let me take that down so I have that graphic up. My apologies for the production glitch there. Take that over here and click on this thingy over here. We don't want to do that. There we go. Take it down, take it down, take it down. There we go. Yeah, so you can see that is, I think that's sort of positive in spite of all the turmoil that's out there. And I just think that in the end, Trump is going to have to capitulate to some degree because Canada is an important trading partner. And while we're not nearly as big as the U.S., we are important to them. And we will see, I guess. I don't know. Just hang in there. We're already making new deals with Mexico, and we're pivoting over to Europe. And over time, as Stephen Harper said over the past week, we need to make these changes. So even Harper advising Mark Carney and the current government to kind of pivot away and diversify our trading interests around the world so that we're less reliant on the United States. We have to do it one way or another if we're going to be a country. And I want there to be a Canada. So let's just give it time. It's going to work out. So,
yeah, well, and that's the thing. I maybe don't like Carney, but I will respect the fact that he went to see Harper and ask some advice for a few reasons. Because, well, maybe like some YouTuber would say that he doesn't know what to do anymore. Well, if it's the case, at least he's trying something. So, you know what? It's probably a good start in the right direction.
Well, I think when you look at politics, it's never black and white. It's not cut and dried. You get a variety of political flavors across the parties. Within the Liberal Party, you'll find some conservatives. Within the Conservative Party, you find some liberals. You find some, people on the other extremes as well. You find even the different parties put people into the different parties to infiltrate and shift policies within those parties and to cause even chaos, right? So it's a messy, dirty game, politics. So when I see, but ultimately, I was heartened to see seeing Harper talk about speaking with Carney, because in the end, those two guys are pro-Canada, whether they're a conservative or a liberal or a New Democrat or whatever. And I want whoever is the prime minister to succeed so the country succeeds, so we are all more prosperous. I don't want any prime minister to fail. or any government to fail. I want certain policies myself, but in the end, whoever is in power, I hope that we as a country succeed. I want Canada to do well, regardless of who is in power. We need to. People's jobs are on the line. Why would I wish for destruction or failure when people would be hurt by that? I don't want that. So, yeah, I want Mark Carney to succeed. I might not agree with everything the guy does, but you understand what I'm saying, right? I just want good things for all of us and for everyone. That's all I'm saying.
So for every good decision that he can take, let's give him a chance to take them and see what he can do with it. And at the end of the day, we'll vote for somebody else and probably, repair the damage.
And where politicians mess up, where things don't work, then yeah, you criticize. That's what our job is here as journalists, right? To hold them accountable for things that don't work, but not just kick them and hurt them because we want them to fail so that our team gets to be in charge instead. That's not healthy. So we'll just cross our fingers, hope for the best at this point. But I think that Canada's in a much stronger position than a lot of the negative people would have us believe. We're a strong country. We've got so much going for us. We have a highly educated population. We have massive resources. We have, we're a first world economy, one of the most affluent countries on the face of the planet. We are not nearly as big in population terms as the United States, but that in itself can actually be an asset because we don't have the same kinds of problems in our country as they have in, say, like a city like New York, where they have almost half the population of all of Canada stuffed into one city. That creates a lot of different challenges for governance, for a community, for a society. So we've got just a different kind of place up here, and I think it's worth saving, worth preserving, and it will. And we're going to be in good shape, man, heading into the future. The future is with us. It's not on the other side of the border. They've gone way too negative, way too dark. They're pulling in. They're shrinking. The United States now, by choice, because of the choices made by Donald Trump and MAGA and the people around him, Donald Trump 2.0, I did not realize that they were going to pull back and take this contractionary path forward. I don't think it's good. You're seeing the result. It's destabilizing the entire world, and potentially even leading to war. As much as Trump has been saying he's going to be a president of peace, what's going on tonight? You have more instability in the Middle East. You have the war in Ukraine still ongoing with no end in sight. You have now nuclear submarines being deployed to strategic locations somewhere off the coast of Russia because of inflammatory comments made, which is really nothing new. Why is Trump focusing on this now? I'm very concerned because why? Maybe it's because he's got all this heat on him over the Epstein files that he wants to, shift the attention away. So what better way to do that than through some sort of conflict or concerns about nuclear war, or maybe even taking over a country as a 51st state, focusing attention on these kinds of chaotic things. People talk about distractions. Trump is not immune to problems and is not immune and is, I don't think he's above at all twisting things around and coming up with political distractions. In fact, he makes stuff up all the time, as we've seen. So numbers I can't believe he did that today. He fired this person because he didn't like the job stats. It's like literally taking a message to the king. He doesn't like it, so he just says, kill him. It's just, It's ridiculous.
I didn't like the jester joke, so kill him and give me a new jester.
Oh my God. He literally fired the woman because the job numbers weren't favorable for him. No, I think they're probably accurate based on the methodology used. And she's just now she's on the unemployment line. Thanks, TJT. Yeah, sorry. I noticed tonight Johnny in the chat there saying that Trump's lost his support. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. I've been there for a while. In case you haven't noticed, this guy is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm editorializing now, just so you're aware. Anyway,
You know what?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
It makes me think of what happened to Justin Trudeau while, just before COVID and right after COVID. Same thing. All the reputation went down like a slow down.
Yeah, well.
Downward spiral.
Except we haven't seen the last of that guy. I told everybody Trudeau's not going away. He's going away, but he's going to come back, and you're seeing it already. He made headlines there 2 days ago by hanging out with Katy Perry. He's political royalty in Canada. That guy is definitely coming back. And they said today that I saw another headline saying that Trudeau may not be dating Katy Perry, but whether he is or he isn't, it's good for both of their brands. See, it's all about public image, man, entertainment. And that's the other thing I'm finding. These times, they are so strange. Everything is like surreal. It's made up. It's all theater. It's people say fake news. It's like fake reality. Trump is making stuff up. He's literally making stuff up. And because you're in charge, you're in the government, you get to generate or create the reality for people. If you say something as this is the official line on this, if they lie, people will still believe it because it's coming from an authority, right?
Yep.
That's what he was saying to the woman over the jobs numbers today. It's like, no, I didn't want that. That's not what I wanted. You're fired. Get somebody in there who will give us different numbers. But the numbers don't lie. Donald Trump does. That's why she got fired. That's the old saying.
Well, that's what I explain on my Substack. Actually, it's part of the infocracy system. You can manipulate the message or the news, and from there, you manipulate the mind of the people and the emotion and whatnot.
Yeah, and with the most powerful information medium ever developed by mankind and at the disposal now of the technocrats and the wealthiest of the wealthy, like Elon Musk. They're manipulating public opinion, swaying elections. It's an information war, and they have control. So beware, folks. Dragon is quite right. The technocracy is upon us. Our minds.
Yeah, well,
and there's a battle
this is
on
where
Earth.
there's the transition between the two.
Yeah.
But we are at the transition before technocracy, and this is where I come with infocracy.
Yeah, that's right. Well, listen, because it's time now to transition over into our movie of the night.
Ooh,
there's
movie time.
There's Isabel's shirt again. And yet, despite the look on my face, you're still talking? It's funny. Yeah.
I love it.
am. But that's my job. I'm supposed to sit here and talk. And that's why I need my hazmat suit when I go to the mailbox. But but it all worked out okay in the end. I'm fine. And the neighborhood didn't get blown to smithereens either. So we're going to live to tell the tale. Science fiction. Up next, cult classic coming up. It's the beginning of the end is the movie from 1957 tonight, Dragon. So with that being said, I am going to throw it over to you for a final thought, and then we're going to run our closing musical interlude, and then we'll come back with Maverick Midnight Matinee on the other side. So what are you thinking tonight? Give us your final thoughts.
Well, if you enjoy some bit of anthropology and psychology, well, go enjoy my little Substack. The first random thing that I came up with, I think, is good, and it's not random because there's a lot of observation for the last 2 years. So I hope it's gonna make you think a lot about what's going on and probably realize where we at. Because I think, well, I would say that it's probably a turning point in our history that is almost like the Roman Empire when it did turn to Christianism to a certain point. We're close to that same switch in that era. So plus the technology that we have.
All right. Well, someone said to me that there's a lot of fighting going on over on Rumble Channel 2, where all the haters hang out, the haters channel. I didn't realize that what we've done there is we've now created, I think, the most toxic, the most hateful, the darkest, the most evil chat in all of social media on Rumble Channel 2. Anyway, I'm just joking around. With that, so okay, we're gonna wrap up. And don't go away. I have to jump off YouTube, by the way, everybody, because YouTube doesn't like it when we do these Maverick Midnight Matinees. But we will be on Rumble and all the other channels on the other side. The movie tonight is Beginning of the End. It's a sci-fi cult classic, 1957. You'll recognize some of the big name actors, at least one in this movie, with the like really cheesy special effects that are so bad they're good. You're gonna love it. It's got a giant grasshopper in it, and it's enough to make you dizzy. And that's why tonight, because we got Dizzy, we got Izzy, we got Elsie the cow. I think that's Elsie, actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. We're talking about supply management, agriculture, agribusiness, agri-food, ostriches, poultry, giant mutant grasshoppers, nuclear submarines, possible nuclear warfare. God, my God, it is enough to make your head spin around. And that's why tonight, thank you, Isabel, for sending me that t-shirt. And all I want to do now is dance. Not everybody gets a song made about them around here, and you shouldn't be upset about this because it's actually a pretty fun tune. And the lyrics ain't so bad, this is actually, in a way, kind of a compliment to you. So I hope you like it. I'm going to run. Here it is. The first incarnation of Dizzy Izzy, my tribute tonight, and my thank you, Isabel, to Isabel for sending me that t-shirt and being a good sport. Here we go.
Spinning round, she shakes me up and throws me down. She got a logic that knocks me out. Come on, baby, twist and shout. Come on, baby, burst my bubble. I'm confused, I'm seeing double. Ooh, is it? Shake it all about. Talk to me, is it? Don't leave no doubt. dizzy, dizzy, you are controlling my mind. Come on, baby, burst my bubble. Let's turn this dance floor into rubble. Ooh, Izzy, shake me straight and proud and tell me what it's all about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Twist and shout. Oh, Izzy, Izzy, twist and shout. Come on, baby. Come on now. Tell me what it's all about.
Dizzy Izzy, it's a hit. Okay. Again, I have to jump off YouTube. So all you people watching on YouTube, you have to go over to Rumble. If you are if you hate my guts, you really, really hate me, you can go to Rumble Channel 2, and everybody over there rips on me through the whole broadcast, apparently. So I'm afraid to look. But go ahead, go over there, haters, to Rumble Channel 2, please. And the numbers are growing exponentially, I'm told. So it could end up being the most successful channel that we have. And then if you're a regular, normal, even-keeled, reasonable, intellectual type person, you don't even have to love me or anything. You can go to Rumble Channel 1. It's your choice. Lovers and haters, lovers and haters. Haters to Channel 2. I'm going to jump off YouTube now. Run this intro coming up on the other side of this. Beginning of the end. Here we go.